की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। स्वेन्वतं स्वाकथा कृष्णा कथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः रुदन्तस्तो हि अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके Bhaktir-bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental song is established as an irrevocable fact. So we are discussing the Canto 7, the Signs of God, Chapter 1, the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. So the Chapter 1 is the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. Text 27. Yata vairānubhandena Matyastanmayatamiya Natata bhakti yogena iti me nischitamatihi Yatha vairānubhandena Matyastanmayatamiya Natata bhakti yogena iti me nischitamatihi Yatha vairānubhandena Matyastanmayatamiya Natata bhakti yogena iti me nischitamatihi Yatha vairānubhandena Matyastanmayatamiya Natata bhakti yogena iti me nischitamatihi. Okay, word to word meaning by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yatha as vairānubhandena by constant enmity. Matya a person. Tatmayatam absorption in him. Ya may attain. Not. Tatha in a like manner. Bhakti yogena by devotional service. Iti thus me, my, nischita, definite, matihi, opinion. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Narada Muni continued, by devotional service one cannot achieve such intense absorption in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity to Him. That is my opinion. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sriman Narada Muni, the topmost pure devotee, praises Krishna's enemies like Shishupala because their minds are always completely absorbed in Krishna. Indeed, he thinks himself deficient in the inspiration of being feelingly absorbed in Krishna consciousness. This does not mean, however, that the enemies of Krishna are more elevated than Krishna's pure devotees. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 5.205, Krishna Dasa Kaviraj Goswami also thinks of himself in such a humble way. Jagai Madai Haite, Muni se Papista, Puri Shere Kita Haite, Muni se Lagista. I am a worse sinner than Jagai and Madai, and I am even lower than the worms in the stool. A pure devotee always thinks himself more deficient than everyone else. If a devotee approaches Srimati Radharani to offer some service to Krishna, even Srimati Radharani thinks that the devotee is greater than she. Thus Narada Muni says that according to his opinion, the enemies of Krishna are better situated because they are fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna in terms of killing him. Just as a very lusty man always thinks of women and their association. The essential point in this connection is that one should be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna 24 hours a day. So the essential point in this connection is that one should be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna 24 hours a day. There are many devotees in Raga Marga which is exhibited in Vrindavana, whether in Dasya Ras, Sakhya Ras, Vatsalya Rasa or Madhurya Rasa. All the devotees of Krishna are always overwhelmed by thoughts of Krishna. When Krishna is away from Vrindavana, tending the cows in the forest, the gopis in the Madhurya Rasa are always absorbed in thoughts of how Krishna walks in the forest. The soles of his feet are so soft that the gopis would not dare keep his lotus feet on their soft breasts. Indeed, they consider their breasts a very hard place for the lotus feet of Krishna. Yet, those lotus feet wander in the forest which is full of thorny plants. The gopis are absorbed in such thoughts at home, although Krishna is away from them. Similarly, when Krishna plays with young friends, Mother Yashoda is very much disturbed by thought that Krishna, because of always playing and not taking his food properly, must be getting weak. These are examples of the exalted ecstasy felt in Krishna's service as manifested in Vrindavana. This service is indirectly praised by Narada Muni in this verse. Especially for the conditioned soul, Narada Muni recommends that one somehow or other be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, for that will save one from all the dangers of material existence. Full absorption in thought of Krishna is the highest platform of bhakti. So full absorption in thought of Krishna is the highest platform of bhakti yoga. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sakrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Et Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has the form of Sachitananda Vigraha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him who turned the dumb into eloquent speakers and enabled the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of the Lord. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Bandhavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarobhischa Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation. Narada Muni continued, by devotional service one cannot achieve such intense absorption in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity toward him. That is my opinion. Yeah, with the permission of Anindya Prabhu and blessings, I'll try to say a few words. We'll discuss about this verse. So in previous verse, Srila Prabhupada says that by rapt attention fixed upon Krishna, one is purified and thus one is delivered from material life. So one is delivered if one can absorb one's thoughts. It's not just thought, but it's the rapt attention. And that the word mentioned in this verse is tanmayatam, or actually in our language, Telugu language, which is I speak, we call tanmayatvam. That is total absorption in the personality. And one can see how the demons, they absorb themselves in fear of Krishna. One such verse quoted by Sukadeva Goswami, 10th canto, 44, chapter 39 verse. This is about the Kamsa. Sa nityadod vigna diyatam ishwaram piban adanva vicharan swapan swasan dadarsha chakrayutham agato yatas tad eva rupam durvapam apa. So Kamsa is constantly thinking of Krishna. How Piban while drinking, Adan while eating, Vicharan while walking, Swapan while sleeping, Swasan while breathing. So whether he is eating or whether he is sleeping, whether he is drinking or whether he is walking, or even breathing, he is only thinking of Krishna. That this person is going to kill me. That is the intense absorption or tanmayatam or tanmayatvam. So much of absorption. And that absorption is not possible in ordinary situation. Either out of anxiety or out of fear or out of enmity, one can think of with that absorption. So Prabhupada translated that Kamsa had always been disturbed with the thought that the Supreme Lord was to kill him. Therefore, when drinking or eating, moving about, sleeping or simply breathing, the king always seen the Lord before him with the disc weapon in his hand. Thus Kamsa achieved the rare boon of attaining a form like the Lord's. And we find similarly Shishupal 10.74.46, it says Janma Trayanu Gunita Vaira sambrabdhya diya dhyayam tanmayatam yato bhavo hi bhavakaranam. Obsessed with hatred of Lord Krishna throughout 3 lifetimes, Shishupal attained the Lord's transcendental nature. Indeed, one's consciousness determines one's future birth. Indeed, one's consciousness determines one's future birth. So Prabhupada, in the second paragraph, the purport for this verse, says that although Shishupal acted as the enemy of Krishna, he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness, because he was constantly thinking of Krishna. He was always absorbed in thought of Krishna, and thus he got first the salvation of Sayuja Mukti, merging into the existence of Supreme, and finally became reinstated in his original position of personal service. So therefore, indeed, one's consciousness determines one's future life. So that implies that how we live our life, and then ultimately how we live our life, determines our next birth. So the thoughts must be constantly absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And here, looking at how Narada Muni is saying that by devotional service one cannot achieve such intense absorption thought of Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity toward Him, unless we have commentary by Acharyas like Srila Prabhupada. One may mistake that, well, it is better to develop enmity towards the Supreme Lord and be absorbed in Him rather than do devotional service to Him. So Prabhupada clarifies in the purport that's not what Narada Muni is trying to tell us. So first point, so Narada Muni, the topmost pure, praises Krishna's enemies like Shishupal because their minds are always completely absorbed in Krishna. So which means that it's praise, yes, persons like Shishupal are constantly absorbed, because he thinks himself deficient in the inspiration of being feelingly absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So this brings about that aspect of our Krishna consciousness where one should not be puffed up that one is a great devotee. Rather, one takes a humble position. Gopi Bhatta Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasanu Dasa. The moment I think that I'm a devotee, then that is my position of fallen down. So therefore one should always think, well, he the servant of the servant of the servant, and that is a secured position for a devotee. So here Narada Muni is trying to tell us, or Prabhupada is telling us, that Shishupal, because their minds are always completely absorbed, indeed he thinks himself deficient. Because Shishupal is absorbed completely in Lord's thoughts, so therefore I am not able to think like him. And Prabhupada continues saying that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, even Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami say that I am worse sinner than Jagai and Madai. So this is how a devotee feels, that even a person like Jagai and Magai are better than me. But normally what is the situation of an ordinary devotee? He thinks that I am better than everyone, and therefore everyone should serve me. And this we find, this consciousness is observed in many practitioners. Once I was taking the arati in our own temple, and there was one devotee, senior devotee, he was way behind. And when the arati was being given, normally it is served from the front row. So the person came running from behind and then took first the arati and then allowed others to take arati. Well, no comment against such a consciousness, but what it tells us is that we are not taking the mood as is being given to us by our parampara. That we should take a position where we take that everyone is a better devotee than us, and that facilitates us to serve them. And that serving mood, it propels us in our journey in Krishna consciousness. And therefore, we should always feel that I'm humbler than grass, and therefore allow everyone to take the upper position, and we serve them, and in that serving attitude or serving mood, we do not commit any aparadha, Vaishnava aparadha. Otherwise, there is a possibility of committing a Vaishnava aparadha. And committing a Vaishnava aparadha, it means that we are trying to take 3 steps forward, but 10 steps backward. But that humble mood protects us from taking such an offensive mood towards others. If a devotee approaches Srimati Radharani, even if Prabhupada continues, if a devotee approaches Srimati Radharani to offer some service to Krishna, even Srimati Radharani thinks that the devotee is greater than she. Now this is an example for us, this is an inspiration to us. This is the mood we should imbibe from Srimati Radharani, that everyone else is better than me. Everyone else is better than me, and facilitate them to serve the Lord. They are fully absorbed in thoughts of, and Prabhupada continues that according to the opinion, the enemies of Krishna are better situated because they are fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna in terms of killing him, just as a very lusty man always thinks of woman and their association. So that intensity of tanmayatvam comes in a person when the person has a relationship with the personality. We have that famous story where Akbar was offering prayers in a mosque, and he tells his guards that none should be allowed to enter mosque. But suddenly he finds that someone hits him with her leg, and then she says, I've told not to enter this area where I'm offering my prayers. How dare you come to this place? And therefore he awards the punishment. And what is that punishment? Execute her or behead her. But it's a custom, before execution you ask, what is your last wish? And when Akbar asks her, what is your last wish? She says innocently that I was so much absorbed in my lover that I did not see you. I did not see anyone. I was only searching for my lover. I was only looking for him everywhere. If you were truly absorbed in the thoughts of Allah or in the Lord, how is that you have observed me entering into the mosque? That means that you are not properly connected. And that made him understand that what he is doing is not right, and therefore he condones her and says, well, you can go. So that's an indication to us that if somebody is absorbed in the lover or somebody's thoughts, then the person becomes unmindful of the rest of the environment. And I can give my own personal example. We were engaged in the month of March, way back, of course, this is 1985. We were engaged. But the marriage took place sometime in December. So there was a big gap of 9 months. And that 9 months was the sweetest part of our life. Because you are not expecting anything from the other person, rather you want to give everything to the other person. I'm sure Grihasthas would agree with me. I'm not an exception to that. So I used to write, in those days we had that inland letter. I do not know how many of you have seen inland letters, and then that yellow envelopes. Almost every day a letter would go from my pen, and a letter would come from the other side. That was the intensity of absorption in each other. And so that means that when you want to serve a person or when you have a relationship, then this becomes spontaneous. That absorption, that tanmayatam comes spontaneously. So therefore bhakti is a process wherein one needs to unfold one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. And in that relationship, the intensity of absorption takes place. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to convey in the third paragraph. Oh, sorry. My apologies, Nirmal left her phone in my bag. So therefore here we find that the what Narada Mahamuni is trying to tell us is interpreted or given the proper perspective by Srila Prabhupada, that the essential point in this connection is that one should be fully... No, this is my phone. Normally no one rings me up, but today someone is ringing. So the essential point in this connection is that one should be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna 24 hours a day. So that's the part, that's the point, that we should be absorbed 24 hours in the Lord. And how is it possible? Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, commenting on this verse, it says that to produce that quick absorption in the Lord, so the word quickly should be added to this verse. And to get that quicker absorption, he says that, well, the enemies of the Lord have that opportunity to get that quicker absorption, because they live in fear. Anytime the Lord may come and kill me, and therefore in that fear they're always thinking of the Lord. Whereas in bhakti, as we all know, there's sadhana vaidhi bhakti and sadhana raganuga bhakti. And in sadhana vaidhi bhakti, bhakti itself, we have two aspects. One is to run away from Maya, and the second aspect is to run towards Krishna. So a neophyte or a beginner like me is struggling to run away from Maya. I'm attracted by the glitters of this world, and therefore my thoughts are always thinking about this world rather than about Krishna. It's a struggle. As a grihastha, I have to think about the family, I have to think of the earnings, I have to maintain the family, and then do my sadhana, think of the job. And so many aspects draw my thought process away from Krishna. And it is said that typically, psychologists say that we generate anywhere between 5,000 to 35,000 thoughts, or 35 to 40,000 thoughts a day. And you classify these thoughts and place them in three different baskets. A basket of the past, a basket of the present, and a basket of the future. It is said that for majority of the persons on this planet, the thoughts are filling up the basket of the past and the basket of the future. Hardly any thoughts are in the basket of the present. Does that happen to you? How many of you find that most of your thoughts are in the present basket?
I'm told that
So when the thoughts are not in the present basket and the thoughts are only in the past and the future, as a neophyte starting my journey in Bhakti Yoga, when I'm chanting, my mind is not hearing what I'm chanting. Because the mind is either in the past basket or the mind is in the future basket. And the process is, unless I hear what I'm chanting, where is the purification? Our process is that when I chant, I should hear clearly. And if I'm not able to hear, the expected purification, or the rate at which, the space at which the purification should take place, is not taking place. And hence my absorption, the tanmayatvam in the Lord, does not come so easily. And that is what is being pointed out in this work by Narada Muni. Whereas someone who is in the Raganuga mark, which means that someone has already crossed which platform? At least Anartha Nivritti. One should have crossed at least Anartha Nivritti and reached the Nishtha platform. And on that platform, the absorption of thoughts in Krishna is much, much higher, much, much more than a person who is struggling with Anartha Nivritti. As Raghunatha Goswami says in Manasiksha, that the Anartha Nivritti is a stage where they are like the robbers or the thieves plundering away our wealth. And who are these thieves? Raghunatha Goswami says, Krama Kodha Mada Moha Matsarya. So these are the thoughts with which we are absorbed, or they are the dirt which is in our consciousness. And this gets removed only when Raghunatha Goswami says, how do these robbers run away? When you call for police. And who is our police? It is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if I can chant this with proper consciousness, hearing carefully what I am chanting, then these anarthas will run away. And when these anarthas flee, then I am able to reach the Nishtha platform, and on that platform, I am able to think of Krishna 24/7. It's not that the complete anarthas will disappear, because anarthas go right up to bhava, but what it means that at least we are able to absorb ourselves in Krishna's thoughts. And one way to develop that absorption is to perform activities in Krishna consciousness that helps us in remaining in thoughts of Krishna. Whatever talent Krishna has given us, use that talent in Krishna consciousness, in Krishna's service. And when you take up that service, take up a service which forms as a challenge to our faculty. Do not be complacent with a service which you can do it easily, which comfortably. Then that will not facilitate us to become Tanmayatvam. If you want to reach the platform of Tanmayatvam, then one should take a Krishna conscious activity that absorbs our thoughts constantly, day in and day out. Because this is how you want to please Krishna. This is how we want to please Gurudev. This is how we want to please spiritual master. This is how we want to please Vaishnavas. Take any project, take any challenge. Talk to your spiritual master, talk to temple authorities, and take that project. And that enables us to think of Krishna always. One such project, unknowingly, in a very humble way, with the blessings of temple management, I had taken. This journey started about 4 years back when a simple thought came to me that I've been coming to temple for the last 20 years, but I do not know the altar properly. I don't even know the names of deities on the altar. There are so many Shaligram Shilas, I don't even know who they are. I can't even identify them. I don't know the features of Radha Vallabha, nor Gauranitai, nor Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya. If there are many Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya, out of them, can I identify the Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya of our temple? If there are many Gauranitais, then can I identify our Gauranitai? This simple thought came to me, said, if I, having visited this temple for the last 20 years, I am in this status, which means that I may not be an exception. So therefore, somehow like Ratha Yatra, Lord Jagannath goes to the individuals, so that I should take the temple to the individuals. I'm not a photographer, nor do I know how to take photographs. I don't even know ABCD of photographs. But I started taking photographs. Said, whatever it is, let me take, and then created a WhatsApp group and started sharing. And today, we have 4 years down the lane. I'm always thinking how to reach out to as many people as possible. Take Radha Vallabha to them, take Gauranitai to them, take Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya to them. Include the Bhagavatam verse which is discussed in the temple on that day to them. Take the pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada and Srimati Tulsi Maharani to them. With that objective, I started this journey. And today, directly and indirectly, every day we reach out to not less than 40,000 individuals. And so therefore, today, whether I'm awake or otherwise, whomsoever I meet, my question I would ask them is, do you receive darshan photos of the Lord in WhatsApp group? Because you get them in the morning by about 9:30 you get darshan photos. In that we include the pure devotees, Srimati Tulsi Maharani and Srila Prabhupada, and also the verse which is discussed in Bhagavatam in the temple. You can read the translation, it's purifying. And you start the journey that day's journey by having darshan of the deities. And then I include the message, please share this darshan with your friends, with your relatives, with your parents, with everyone. And help them also to get purified. So in the last just 1 year, I have enrolled directly more than 600 individuals who come to temple only just once and then go away. They're all receiving. So this is my absorption. So that means that we should take up a project wherein it absorbs our thoughts in pleasing Krishna, in pleasing Gurudev, in pleasing the temple authority, in pleasing senior management, or being senior Vaishnavas. Whatever talent we have, because Krishna gives talent to everyone. There's a thought process, because I think I spoke earlier, we discussed earlier also that out of the 35,000-40,000 thoughts we generate according to psychologists, we act on certain thoughts. Not on every thought we can act, but on certain thoughts we act. So these thoughts are called vritti. But when I act on some of these thoughts, they become samskara. It creates an impression in my consciousness. And when that samskara is repeated again and again, it leaves behind a deep impression, which is called vasana, or an inclination. So we start the journey from vritti, it becomes a samskara, and then it becomes a vasana. It enters into subconsciousness. and this is stored in Chitta. So based on what has been stored in Chitta, we get our next psychophysical body. So if I can store the thoughts of Krishna, my service to Krishna, my service to Gurudev, then my likely next life, either we are returning back home, back to Godhead, Antakalecha. At the last moment, if we can remember Krishna, Smaran Muttva Kalevaram, as Krishna says, Yaha prayati sa mad bhavam yati nasti artha samshayaha. One need not have any doubt. One will return back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, all our samskaras or impressions we create in our subconsciousness and normal consciousness should be the tanmayatvam of the Lord, and this is possible if we can use whatever talent Krishna has given us in such the Lord in such a way that the task requires our absorption. It's not that we can do the task so easily. If I do my task easily, then I'll not be able to absorb my thoughts. But if I can't, then it's a constantly you're thinking what to do, how to better. In the kitchen also, I started my journey as an apprentice. In Hyderabad, the place from where I come from, invariably, especially the Muslim families, the kids are never sent to the school. The kids are sent to a workshop, and they said that you learn how to repair a motorcycle or how to repair a car. And how does that boy start the journey? The boy is asked to, is the boss of that shop, he says, "Are, o pana la re, get me spanner, get me a cup of tea." And the same activity the person does for years, and seeing the sincerity of that boy, then the owner teaches him how to clean the carburetor, how to pump in air, small activities. And over a period of time, the person learns to repair the car or motorcycle, whatever workshop he has joined, and eventually opens up his own workshop. Similarly, I started my journey in the kitchen under the guidance of Karnanidhi Prabhu, who has engaged me for 10 years in just making cordial. Every week I would come and make cordial. And after some time seeing my regularity, he gave me the service of making halwa. So under his leadership, I made cordial and halwa all through my under his leadership. Later on, then other preparations have come to me to prepare. So before going to the kitchen or before a Saturday coming, I'll be looking through recipes, what recipe, what to prepare, how to prepare. I do the calculation, quantity-wise, volume-wise, how many people are expected on a Saturday for a Saturday feast. So the thinking is, all this absorbs our thoughts in Krishna consciousness. And that's how one can move from Vaidhi sadhana bhakti to Vaidhi raga ruga bhakti. That is constant absorption. And our process of typically in a raga nuga bhakti, how is it mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? 3 verses which are given, and then the Raganuga Bhakta has to think about the Ragatmika Bhakta in a particular relationship, how he serves the Lord, and therefore we try to follow in that footsteps. But we can see that the Ragatmika Bhakta in our movement is, who is the Ragatmika Bhakta? We can take Srila Prabhupada. Yes, thank you, Prabhupada. So it is not because Srila Prabhupada knows his relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that is the principle that we need to follow the footsteps of a Ragatmika Bhakti or a Ragatmika Bhakta in order to develop the Raganuga consciousness. Raga is the attachment, deep attachment to Krishna. So that attachment we can develop only through the mercy of a Ragatmika Bhakta. And that Ragatmika Bhakta is Srila Prabhupada, and therefore by following the instructions given to us by Srila Prabhupada, automatically, spontaneously, with sincerity we do that, we gradually move from Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti toward the Ragamukha Bhakti. We need not make any special endeavor. This is the process Srila Prabhupada has given us. I think if you follow the program given to us by Srila Prabhupada, out of the 64 items of bhakti given by Rupa Goswami, Nectar of Devotion, almost all of them are covered. It's like we say that in Bombay, you need not make any effort to get into the train or get on the train. Be on the platform, then the masters push you into the train, and when the time comes for you to get down, you be at the door, then the same master will just push you out. So similarly, if you are in the boat of Krishna consciousness in ISKCON, just stay there, follow what Srila Prabhupada has given to us, then automatically we move from whatever stage we are ahead. And that's what we find Prabhupada is trying to tell us, that the essential point in this connection that one should be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna 24 hours a day. There are many devotees in Ragamar which is exhibited in Vrindavan. Whether in Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vachalyaras or Madhyaras, all the devotees of Krishna are always overwhelmed by thoughts of Krishna. At this stage of our journey, we don't know our relationship with Krishna. But a Ragatmika devotee like Srila Prabhupada, he knows his relationship. So we cling to his lotus feet. Then, whether in Dasa, when Krishna is away from Vrindavana, tending the cows in the forest, the gopis in the Madhyaras are always absorbed in thoughts of how Krishna walks in the forest. The soles of his feet are so soft, the gopis would not dare keep his lotus feet on their soft breasts. So that's the relationship of the gopis with Krishna. They are always thinking of Krishna, Tanmayatvam, seeing that Krishna's lotus feet is so soft. It's so soft that we can't even keep them on our breast. But that lotus feet is moving through the forests of Vrindavan, where there are thorns, pebbles, and so on. In those thoughts, they are completely absorbed. And similarly, Mother Yashoda, she is thinking that my Lala is always playing, is in a playful mood, and he is not eating at the right time, and therefore he is becoming weak. So Mother Yashoda is very much disturbed by thought that Krishna, because of always playing and not taking his food properly, must be getting weak. These are the examples of the exalted ecstasy felt in Krishna's service as manifested in Vrindavan. This service is indirectly praised by Narada Muni in this verse. So unless we know the purport from Srila Prabhupada, we will be thinking that yes, it is the enmity with Krishna only that can bring about the Tanmayatvam or Tanmaya. I think in Sanskrit word it is Tanmayatam. In Telugu we call Tanmayatvam. This service is indirectly praised by Narada Muni in this verse, especially for the conditioned soul. Narada Muni recommend that one somehow or other be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, for that will save one from all the dangers of material existence. Full absorption in thought of Krishna is the highest platform of bhakti. So what is that principle we need to follow? What is the essential principle of Krishna consciousness?
Never forget Krishna, always remember Krishna.
Yes, Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyam na Jatachit, Sarve vidhi nishedasya etayor eva kinkaraha. That Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. So in this we find that vidhi and the nishedham. Follow the vidhi. By following the vidhi, all the vidhis are followed. That is always remembering Krishna. And by following the nishedha, that is never forgetting Krishna, then all the bad reactions of the nishedhas are avoided. So somehow our life should be molded in such a way that we are able to remember Krishna always and never forget Krishna. And in 9.27 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives us the verse also. Yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurusva madarpanam. Whatever one may do, asnasi you eat, whatever juhosi you offer, dadasi you give away, and tapasyasi austerities you perform, do it as an offering to me. So that's the art we need to learn. One, directly performing Krishna conscious activities, using our talent, chanting and hearing and performing direct devotional service activities, using our talent, taking up a project or taking up a service which can't be done so easily, so that absorbs our thoughts, and at the same time transforming all other activities which are required to be done to support our family. Those activities also we should be able to transform them into Krishna conscious activities. And if we can do that, then 24/7 we can be absorbed in Krishna, or we can be in Tanmayatam. And someone who is in Tanmayatam, he is the exalted devotee. And that is what is being referred to in this particular verse. Yeah, I'll stop at this stage. Any comment or any question?
You can send those pictures to Instagram.
We can do, Prabhu.
I got a letter from somebody in Toronto who said that Radha Vallabha is the most beautiful deities and they want to see them every day. And okay, I'll be in touch.
There are, I think, 2 or 3 applications where the devotees, they collect darshan photos of all the temples worldwide, and then they place them there. So our darshan photos are going to those apps as well.
Yeah, Instagram's probably the most accessible. WhatsApp's kind of limited,
Circulation.
not accessible. You have to be invited now.
Which quality is WhatsApp is not so good.
Yeah,
The quality's not good either.
they reduce the quality.
Yeah.
They save server space.
I'll be in touch. Don't worry. There's a good point that you made about following Srila Prabhupada, because the following of the gopis and what's the other example?
The Mother Yashoda.
In the purport?
Yeah, in the purport,
Yeah.
the purport.
That's actually quite an elevated position. And not readily attainable. And why engaging all of our external activities effectively, so that eventually we're moving to that subtle point of always thinking of Krishna, never forgetting him, and by connecting everything that we do effectively to Krishna. But ultimately we want to get to that point of following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. Right?
Ragatmika.
Yeah. So what are the steps to go from following the spiritual master to following a resident of Vrindavan?
One is the form and the other is the principle.
What's that?
One is the form and other is the principle. The principle is that one should follow a Ragatmika devotee in order to Ragatmika devotee, so that you feel that you are in a particular, a glimpse of your relationship with the Lord, and therefore that particular Ragatmika devotee's activity pleases you, or you feel that that's an activity you can think of doing it, and therefore you tend to do it. So that's a principle, but that principle can be applied to Srila Prabhupada because he is a Ragatmika devotee, and following what Srila Prabhupada is saying, one can achieve the same goal. That does not mean that we are negating what Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that there are 3 verses given there that the devotee tries to follow the Ragatmika devotee of Vrindavan and then do that. That is not being negated, but it is being said that if someone has that sort of an understanding or has come to that platform, they can very well talk to their Gurudev, their spiritual master, and try to understand that relationship and then dive deeper into that area. But otherwise also one need not be worried that, oh, I'm not come to that platform, who is the Ragatmika devotee, whom I should follow. I can follow simply what Srila Prabhupada has said, attach myself to what his steps are, and then I'm floating in that direction, moving in that direction.
Floating.
Because I said floating because I'll give the example of
Floating means you can float the other way.
Bombay train, because there you step in, you don't have to make any effort, you just move.
Yeah.
Because this is what people say that, well, ISKCON Raganuga is not possible, it is not covered. But actually, by simply following Srila Prabhupada, you move from Vaidhi Sadhana to the Raganuga.
Okay, that's what you said, but I asked the question, what are the steps? And you didn't answer the question.
Oh,
Which is okay, but
the steps are chant, hear, associate, and follow what Prabhupada has said, distribute his books, do the activity what Prabhupada has said, because we need to please Prabhupada, and the business of ISKCON is to share Krishna consciousness with one and everyone. It's like in Bombay, they have a dabbawala. Dabbawala business is to sell their dabbas, boxes. He sells the dabba boxes, his son sells the dabba boxes, his grandson also sends the same boxes. Similarly, the mission of ISKCON is to take Krishna consciousness to everyone. This is what Srila Prabhupada has done, and we follow in his steps to the best of our ability. Either we can't do it directly, but assist someone who is in the forefront, so that if we follow sincerely and we facilitate others to follow Krishna consciousness. These are the steps we need to follow.
yeah. And you did say that we discussed our natural inclinations with the spiritual master to confirm. And Prabhupada also says that these feelings will naturally arise as one chants Hare Krishna. So the steps, they're not enunciated or listed anywhere. Here's what you do: you follow the spiritual master, and by following the instructions of the spiritual master, in our case, chant Hare Krishna, serve the deity, preach, effectively, right?
Yeah. Read from Bhagavatam.
Then Prabhupada does say that the natural affection for a particular, following a particular resident of Vrindavan will manifest. Doesn't it?
Yep.
And then what do you do? Well, you say, well, you confirm it with the spiritual masters, not that these things aren't done in isolation, or these things appear or manifest in isolation. It has to be confirmed with the spiritual master, because one always remains a servant of the spiritual master.
Yeah. Otherwise.
And I was
Yeah.
I finished it. I was going to ask this question. I didn't do it at the retreat, but the question was, what is the role of the guru when one has established their relationship with the residents of a resident of Vrindavan and is following in their footsteps as a raga, nuga, bhakta? So you gave some tips. And I guess ISKCON, with all of the devotees, that's the example of the train, of the passengers on the train, right? A Mumbai train.
Yeah, especially
in Australia, you may be the only passenger on the train. In fact, you may be on the train and fall asleep and go past your station. This used to happen to the devotees.
It did happen to me a couple of times.
And they'd fall asleep, and then they'd wake up and they'd gone past the place where they were supposed to be.
Yeah, I was traveling from city to Glenville when I was in my previous residence. When I woke up, I was back where I started.
Not the right train, we're on the wrong train. We need to be on a more nice. Because Prabhupada does say in more than one place that one, and because it's what Rupa Goswami says, right? That one has to follow in the footsteps of a Raga Nuga Bhakta.
Yeah, I think in Nectar of Devotion, the example of Rupa Goswami is given, because Rupa Goswami in Chaitanya Leela is Rupa Goswami, and in Krishna Leela is Rupa Manjari. So therefore, externally we continue to perform the Krishna conscious activities, but internally we develop them more.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it becomes a sahajiya.
And a lot of what we do, chanting Hare Krishna, is hugely, important, because, and that's where, in one sense, we don't need to worry about following the residents of Vrindavan. First of all, get rid of become a pure, chant Hare Krishna purely.
That's right.
Right? When you chant, and these are the steps, effectively. The steps are chant. First of all, we start off offensive chanting, then we go to the clearing stage, then we need to go to the pure stage of chanting Hare Krishna. and when we're at that point, then we'll have the vision, right? The internal vision, because it's not external, it's an internal vision. And one will be able to see the self, right? Which is really what Lord Chaitanya tells us to do. What is it? Jekdogdarpanamarjanam, right? Cleanse the mirror of the heart, or the mirror of the mind, so that the reflection of the pure soul will be visible. But at the same time, then the vision of the Paramatma, the vision of one's relationship with Krishna, gradually these things are revealed. So it's an internal
journey.
Internal process. But a lot of it depends, at least for us now, is to stop committing offences, right? And get to the stage of clearing and then get to that point of pure chanting, then Prabhupada says these things will gradually be revealed. He almost says, you don't need to worry about it.
Many times.
Right? Don't worry about it. Just focus on, and that's why, you know, that point that you made, that Raga following Prabhupada. Because you see, Prabhupada didn't talk about, oh, I'm a resident of Vrindavan and I'm a follower of, you know, this Galilee or whatever. You know, once Prabhupada said, you know, when one devotee recognised Prabhupada as a Gopa, and he said, she's very intelligent, like something. Right. But he doesn't talk about that very much. He talks about, you know, chant Hare Krishna. And,
But Prabhu, I feel that with that, we should mold our life in such a way that to a greater extent we live in present rather than the past and in the future. If my regular thoughts are only dwelling in the past and the future, then while chanting also, my mind will not be in the present. It will be only the past and the future. So my normal thought process also should be focused in the present only. Only then that I can take it to chanting. It is not like a mechanical switch that normally my thoughts are everywhere and when it comes to chanting only it will be in the present. It's not possible for the mind.
yeah, anybody here not able to think about the past? And not worry about the future?
Recently, Prabhuji, like last year I went to Vrindavan. Recently, I've been able to understand the meaning of living the present. Like I'm a teacher, so mindfulness, you have so many workshops, this thing, that thing. It is such a complex system. It is such a complex system in the sense, see, the day, the time, the moment, the rotation, the revolution, seasons, your Ishtadevta. Universe is walking 1 billion steps to make this second possible. How profound is it? How profound? Wow. Just to imagine, it is so powerful. We don't have to worry about anything. Anything. You don't have to worry about your job, your education, your husband, wife, kids, nothing. You just worry about this second, that will manifest in the next. It is, I feel like I'm in a different world. Once the meaning changes, you know, universe is reaching out with so much force. If you just connect that 1 second, utna bas hai. Uske baad dekho, matlab you just see the beauty of everywhere. You will hear Krishna, you will see Krishna, you know, the meaning and the resources will come, people, but everything is, once you understand that, it changes the whole meaning of living and all these, so many, but the unnecessary things that we do of security. What is security? No need of security.
True.
No, it's a fact. And you know where that comes from?
No.
Realistically, where it comes from?
No.
Chanting Hare Krishna.
Chanting and
Because-
also breathing, like, you know, you feel that, you know, every second you breathe Krishna.
Yeah.
Every breath that you take, you know, it is Krishna, and the way you pour the cup of coffee and if it is exact, and the taste, and every time when you know it is Krishna, then you know you are in the right space, and then he is reaching out to you. And
Watch out your thoughts. What thoughts are we getting?
even that we tell Krishna, outsource it to him. So you are responsible for everything.
That's a dangerous step.
Krishna says the other way around in the Gita.
Yeah, that's,
Both the ways,
that's
this
why-
way as well as that way.
that's why chanting in the clearing stage is to just hear the sound of the mantra and meditate on the mantra without thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, what happened in the past, or whatever desires, because, you know, it's not only, our mind isn't only thinking about past and future, but also thinking about the desire, you know, our desires that come up, or our fears. What is it? What's it? Icha dvesha.
Samudbhava.
Yeah,
Icha
what-
dvesha samudhena dvandva mohena bharata.
yeah, what are the two?
Icha is desire
Desire.
and
Dvesha
repulsion.
is hatred.
Yes. Yeah.
Attraction and repulsion.
Yeah, attraction and repulsion. So, and so if we really allow the Maha Mantra to come in, or put ourselves in that position of hearing the mantra, then the mantra will purify it over time, gradually purify it. Then you'll get to this point that you're suggesting, where and I don't know if I've experienced it. I don't know how it happens. If I chant good rounds on a particular day or whatever.
The universe runs on such a beautiful formula. Like the lady at whose house I was there for 10 days in Vrindavan, I didn't know her. The booking happened through somebody. That also I didn't know. I had no plans of going. I was coming back to Mumbai. Some friend suggested, the third person booked, and I went. First time I'm meeting her, and it was free. When the universe is running on a formula, we should not interject. You just go, and the system, then you see the beauty of God. And Krishna is with you, Radharani, then
That'll happen when you chant Hare Krishna properly. That's what happens.
and
You chant properly, well, hear the mantra, then all of a sudden the day, the past and the future doesn't. You just do you do what's needed, and the motivation is correct, because a lot of what we do is motivation.
Yeah, that happens. It is a reciprocation of the Lord. To the extent we are pure, things fall in its place properly. Otherwise,
Sometimes they also fall apart.
More often.
I think that is
Actually,
Of course.
Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha, so he talks about this a little clearly. So there is Swarup Siddha Bhakti, which is unalloyed, pure devotional service, perfected devotion with love, without any motivation other than pleasing Krishna. So that is the Raga mark, that is top. Before that comes what Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada suggests is Aropa Siddha Bhakti. So there is Swarup Siddha Bhakti. He suggests that before we reach that, we can employ a little Aropa Siddha Bhakti. So Aropa Siddha means acquisition. You know, you did this to me. It's like I'm accusing him. So he says, apply Aropa Siddha Bhakti. So activities that, you know, you're not able to think about Krishna always. You know, I'm not. I'm sitting in the temple still, I'm thinking about all other things. So Jiva Goswami Prabhupada says, this Arop Siddha Bhakti is like enforcing an arop, an acquisition of bhakti on whatever else you're doing. You're brushing your teeth, it's got nothing to do with pure devotion service. You're cleaning your ear, how is that pure devotional service?
it can be yat karosi yat dasnasi.
Yeah. He quotes that verse, but he gives the technology how to do it, therefore. So he says, you say, oh Krishna, I am doing this for
Yes.
you. You think
Yeah.
that in your heart.
Yeah,
That I'm brushing my teeth, oh Krishna,
for your pleasure.
you please be pleased, I'm brushing my teeth.
Yes.
So this is, and then when you live your day like that, although these are activities not directly of, you know, service to Krishna, but you connect them by offering them to Krishna nonetheless, by aropa siddha. You come.
Aropa means?
Arop means an acquisition.
How do you spell it?
Aro.
Arop, A-R,
OP.
A-R-O-P, long A-R-O-P.
You say Arop Karma.
Arop.
Arop Siddha. So then he says, but at the end of the day, you should close your day with these prayers. He gives these prayers. He actually gives these verses. This is from the Vishnu Puran. And this is all quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 36th verse commentary by Srila Gopi Paranadhana Prabhuji and the team. So he says, at the end of the day, you prayerfully make this offering to Krishna. Na pritir avivekanam vishayev anapayini tvam anusmarata same hridayan napa sarpato. Unintelligent persons have unflinching affection for the objects of sense gratification. Similarly, may I always remember you, so that that same attachment applied to you never leaves my heart. That's Vishnu Puran
Can you
120.
show me that
Yeah, sure.
link?
Sure. And then he
Or
says,
the detail?
Yuvitinam yatha yuni, yunam cha yuvatau yatha, mano bhiramate tadvan, mano me ramatam tvai. As the minds of young girls take pleasure in thinking of a young boy, and those of young boys take pleasure in thinking of a young girl, may my mind take pleasure in you. And then he closes it with Mama sukarmani, whatever activities you were suggesting, Mama sukarmani dushkarmani cha yad raga samanayam tad sarvato bhavena bhagvat vishayan eva bhavato. Whatever attraction I have for pious or sinful activities, let that attraction be wholeheartedly invested in you. So he says that basically we have to, whatever we are engaged with, rather than thinking whether it's an orchestration of the universe or whether, it's an effort by me, whether it is pious or impious, the inner, thermostat should be set on, this is for Krishna, and I want to please Krishna with whatever is happening in my life. So that is your conscious effort. It's not, an external thing. It's your own, conscious effort. So like that, Jiva Goswami Prabhupada says, this is how you can really, although you're not able to directly engage with the pure devotional service all the time as a working person or whatever, but through Aropa Siddha and through these meditative prayers at the end of the day, you offer these, you offer your entire day to Krishna like that.
Thank you. But so nice. Today is my friend, she's from Montenegro, it's their Christmas. So I told her yesterday, why don't we go to your church? She said, I will see Radhika. This plan to come here was not there. A third friend came. He said, yesterday he came after 2-3 years, and then he said, I'm going to the temple, why don't you come? See, Krishna's. I had to hear, thank you so much.
You are a pure person. That's reflecting your purity.
Make sure you have some breakfast before you go.
Thank you. And Prabhuji, I would always think, how will I
If there's any
distribute books? No time, and where will I buy Bhagavad Gita? But nothing. Last time we came, I took 2 boxes. And now I realize, anybody who comes home, we put haldi kumkum. So we give cloth, fruits. Along with that, now I am giving books also. So, क्या है Krishna को पूछने की जरूरत, we don't have to ask. He will make everything possible, and the mind works in such this thing. Now, like I've done my 3 masters, 3 bachelors, this thing, that thing. To me, it seems God, if there's our waste, what it actual to it's like opening your eyes. कि आँख खुला है, and now you can do so much.
It's very good.
True.
No, waste
Keep
क्या करें?
distributing those books.
Yeah, so
And keep coming to the temple.
for the past 20 years, probably we've been coming to the temple.
Every day.
Please, Krishna, will make it happen. I don't drive, or else I would come. I don't drive.
You have to do it actually. If you leave it up to Krishna, then you wander off and do something else.
You just think, and the next moment, things are from morning till. And I talk to I talk to strangers, and then we talk philosophy. I tell about Krishna. So the kids say, Amma, don't talk. When they were little, we would say, don't talk to strangers. Now they tell me, Amma, don't. I said, there is no stranger. Universe has connected everybody. And there's a big philosophy. E is equal to mc square. That is in action. Only if you see that, there is no fear, there is no worry, there is no future. Everything is in this. फिर क्या डरना, फिर क्या
My mom
जीना?
still tells me that I should be careful.
Hari bol. What? Sorry, you wanted to ask something.
Actually, I just this Gish Bhujan Prabhu's Japa book, the 9 keys, they're very effective because he was saying about how you need to be in the present, but even if you can't do that, can't really do that. But when I read the book, I tried to apply it. It's very effective. I found it very effective.
What was that?
So the 9 keys, he has 9 keys, and I think the one thing that struck out to me, but I think two different, because we did this within, like, Priya Mataji, like we did it as a group of devotees together. We read the book together and we tried to follow the keys, but different keys struck with different devotees. For me, it was like determination. He has to be to make like a resolution before you chant that I'm going to hear the mantra, and then also, so basically this was so that we can hear the mantra, and also that I like the point he says that focus on just hearing one mantra. If that's hard, just focus on the Hare, the first Hare, and also that if you've not heard your chanting, because sometimes on the next round you think like, oh my god, I didn't hear my previous sound. So don't worry about that. That's like the future thing that you were saying. So don't worry about that. Just hear as you go. I think so. For me, some things, like not some things, but most of the things there were very.
Is it the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, wherever the mind wanders, pull it back?
Yeah, the practice. I think the practice at least doesn't make us completely in the entire present, but it helps. I feel.
Yeah, I think that Gurudev says that if you can hear one holy name properly, then you are most fortunate. Just one holy name, not one mantra, just one holy name.
Krishna, Krishna.
And also like the offenses as well. Like I realized the opposite of it. Like when we glorify a devotee from the heart sincerely, the chanting becomes very easy. I feel. Yeah.
True. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Prabhu.
Just a quick one. So this is my first time visiting the temple. Can you please add me in the WhatsApp group?
Oh, definitely. Thank you. Yes, definitely. I'll take your number.
We don't usually have class here, by the way. The temple runs just.
That's what.
They're cleaning They're cleaning. Lord Jagannath's been away for a few weeks. They're cleaning to bring him back. So this is usually downstairs.
That's what I was going to ask. How often do we have these?
Every day.
Every day, every morning.
7:30. Well, greeting 7 o'clock is Dasa. 7:30. 5:07 is Guru Puja, and then 7:30 is usually his class. Yeah.
Thanks.
So.
And then there's
where do you
breakfast.
live?
I live in Box Hill.
Box Hill.
Yes.
What brings you to this neck of the woods?
Sorry.
What brings you here?
Actually, I was looking for the temple to visit, so I just searched ISKCON because back in India I used to go.
It's a good idea to visit every day, but you're living in Box Hill, that might not be so easy.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have one point. I come from Hyderabad. What you have shared to the group is amazing actually. I know a person who has got many religions, many cultures, Ma Prabhu, Chimaya Mission, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, everything. Finally he said that I have settled down with ISKCON. I work for ISKCON and we are also this one. He is reading about knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and everything. He says there is nothing to match in these days as compared to this one. So the Krishna consciousness is absolutely supreme actually in the
Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa, Krupa Sindhubhya evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo.
Okay. If only Krishna would write that.